swinging, we're shift and then turn, and as we swing the club up, as we're finishing the swing, your right hip and your right shoulder actually start to move back this direction, right? So as you kind of get to about left arm parallel, you'll start to see the right hip and the right shoulder all start to kind of move, like the right shoulder moves behind the head, right shoulder hip starts to move back to the target.
I've made it my swing trigger now, actually. So
Great.
a drill you do with the rope, and we can pull the rope out later, but you actually take the rope and you swing it forward and you move back this way. So this kind of goes into a little different aspect, but what I've added now is I try to feel like I push into my left, and then as I push left, because I can't move the ground, right, it's going to push me back into my right, and then I have to push back to the left. So
So to build on that, right? So if you're
Yeah.
going to get power, you get force and counter force. And so the harder you push with your trigger with that left leg, the harder you push to your region your left leg to push you to the right.
Yeah.
If you push so hard that you would tumble over without any force from the right, then your right was going to have to push harder back.
Yeah.
And again, when we want trying to build speed, right, we need force. And so if you can push really hard with this left foot to start the swing, and again, hard being relative, right? Most people don't push at all. They just start turning and swinging their arms.
Yeah.
But if you can apply some type of force where you push yourself to your right, then your right side says, and your brain says, whoa, I don't want to keep going that way, right? I don't want to keep moving this direction. So then it's going to push into the ground in such a way to stop you from going that way. As you rotate to the top. That also helps you recenter back to the left. So that's a very important move from force production.
Yeah, I like it for all my students for the reasons you listed, but also I think it just like it starts the swing a lot easier, right? Like students we start from a static position, right? And then a lot of times students just pull in like this. They lift the arms a lot. There's no momentum happening, right? My old swing trigger used to be. I have old videos of me. I still kind of do it. My old swing trigger, I wouldn't push, but I'd as the club went away, I actually pushed down, and then kind of moved up this way. So I didn't really push left. I pushed down. So I got into almost a squat motion.
Yeah. So and again, I think most people are trying to stay down, but the reality is we're swinging the club, we want to go up.
Yeah.
Right. And so the mass of your body is moving to the right, and then it's moving up as you go up to the top of the backswing. Yeah. And so the fact that you kind of did a little down and then got up that's better than what most people are trying to stay down and turn.
Yeah.
And that's not so great.
I was surprisingly practicing yesterday, and I was trying to feel like I pushed left, and then as I went back to my right, I actually kind of moved up, like exactly what you said. I was moving up, and I was hitting the ball way better.
Yeah.
Right. Because I think what you said, I would maybe push left, but I'd almost stay down a lot, right? Yeah. And then for some reason, I never really struggled with this in my career until this year. I was chunking a few, right? And I think it was because I wasn't moving up enough on the backswing. That'd be my idea.
Yeah, I think you're moving up on the backswing, but just from a logic perspective, right? I mean, we're trying to basically from the top, we're throwing our hands and throwing the club down towards the ball, right? And if I was going to throw this ball down at the ground as hard as I could, as I would, if I was to set up here, right? It's so Mike Bender used to do this a lot to show people how far to the right you have to go, right? So you'll be here, you can throw this ball at that ball, and watch how far to the right it goes. If it doesn't hit it, it's going 45 degrees to give you a sense of how far out to the right. But I like to do it from the fact that if I was going to throw that ball as hard as I could, I wouldn't stay down, kind of stay in my posture, kind of keep my arms in here really close to my body, and try to turn and throw from here. If I was going to throw this really hard, I would be going up, bringing my arm up here as high and as far as I could, and I'd be pushing my hand and arm this way.
Yeah.
Right? Not swinging here, right? So again, going back to what we were just talking about with the right hand, right? That right hand is kind of pushing this direction as you're going to the top of the backswing. So I would take this ball. I'll take this ball, right? And I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to go up as high as I can, and get my arm up here as high as I can, and then I'd probably drop down a little bit as I start to turn back towards it. and then I'd throw, and as I'm throwing, I'd be pushing it going up as well.
Yeah, pushing up.
So when we're swinging the club, a lot of us are thinking about like backswing, staying in posture this way. But the reality is you want to try to feel like you're swinging more up. When you change directions, you'll naturally go down, and as you're coming through the golf ball, you're trying to come back up as well.
Yeah.
So it's like an up feeling.
I asked you a question, this was like last year, I believe. I don't remember the circumstances, but it was a student I was teaching, and we were talking about this up and down motion, and you said something to the effect of like, well, whatever goes up needs to come back down. Because I think I was dealing with a student that was maybe like really going up on the way back and then maybe topping it or something.
Well, it's how you go up is important, right? So you wouldn't want to be going up like this so much. Again, when I use the ball analogy, going up this way, right? It's just moving up and down here. We're not trying to swing something around us. So the up motion is, again, you don't want a lot of this type of motion with this is called sagittal torque, right? So you don't want a lot of this sagittal torque. That's staying relatively constant. But there is a lot of like this up motion, right? So it's like the right side will be moving up and the left side's moving down.
Yeah.
And then as you transition at the top, the left side's starting to really drive itself up.
Yeah.
You see a lot of instructors talk a lot about like a right side bend, right? So they're kind of like here and then you right side bend, but you see everything's down when I do that.
Yeah.
I think you're extending the right side up, and then as you transition, fall back to the left, it's more of trying to apply an up force with the left side, feeling like this to create the right side bend.
Yeah.
I think that's much more important.
Yeah, definitely. It was the thing I tell people all the time at the Linksman facility. We have like that little like awning kind of out on the front. When I have students that they go up, but we get them to go up better than just doing that, right? But when we get them to go up and then they don't have enough like down almost, let's say, they just kind of spin from there. I tell them like if we went to the edge of that and you jumped off of it, you'd kind of like jump and like catch yourself. So I try to tell them like as they swing up, right, and move up, when they start down, they need to feel like they catch themselves, and that's me trying to get them to push into their left a little bit. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, and I think the catch yourself would be like there's the horizontal motion back to from the right to the left. So when we're swinging, we're shift and then turn, and as we swing the club up, as we're finishing the swing, your right hip and your right shoulder actually start to move back this direction, right? So as you kind of get to about left arm parallel, you'll start to see the right hip and the right shoulder all start to kind of move, like the right shoulder moves behind the head, right shoulder, hip starts to move back to the target. And if I've moved and shifted and moved up a little bit here, as I make that motion back to here, I'm going to fall. My left side's lower, right? So my left side's sliding, I'm going to get back down a little bit. So that recentering motion should help you kind of feel that fall into the left side.
I love the fall analogy. I used it with a student the other day. We were working a lot on step drills. And we were doing a single step, and when he would step into his left, he just like hung back on the right the whole time, like he never pushed left. So I tried to tell him as if when he steps and then applies a pressure, he needs to feel like he falls that way, right?
Yeah, so step drills are great. When you're swinging the club, let me grab a club here.
No, take that one, yeah.
The problem that people will do when they do the step drill is they'll kind of turn here, and as they're going back, when they step forward, they'll stay back and step with their foot, right? But the reality is when we're stepping forward, so we kind of step, swing, and as we're making this motion, when we're stepping forward, you want to feel like the knee and the hip are all kind of moving to the left, and you catch yourself with your foot. So you're not moving your foot like step. It's more of like a leg shift, and you can see my whole body is shifting with my back and my upper body
Everything's
close
in line,
to the target, right? And then from there, as I make that motion, then as soon as that foot hits the ground, you start to push and apply more up.
Yeah, I don't know the science behind all of it, but when I have people do step drills and we get them swinging the rope, which we'll pull out in a bit, their club path and even their face and even mine, right? That's actually really far to the right for me right now. When I've been swinging on track, man, I've literally been like 0.4 to like -0.4. Like I'm just like basically neutral. And for some reason, when I get players doing the step drills and get them swinging the rope, it neutrals them out. Like, is there like is it just,
Yeah. So as we get into this is a rigid object, right? So let me grab a rope here.
Yeah.
If I take this and I move my wrists in a certain mentions, right, the club's going to move. I'm going to make those same motions holding the rope, and the rope doesn't do that well, right? So I can make a pretty good looking golf swing without using my body very well, just by how I manipulate the arms and the club around me.
Yeah.
To get this rope to swing like a golf club and move on like a plane around me, I have to really sequence how well my body and arms move together. Because to get energy into this rope, I have to really, that's how I'm going to do it, right? I can't put energy into the rope with my wrists. I can only put like I can with a golf club.
Yeah.
So I have to move very well. Switch that. And so to do that, I have to really sync up how and to direct the rope the way I want it to go, I have to sync up how my pivot moves with my arm swing.
Yeah.
Right? And to get the rope to move around you and hit you in the right spot, like on your upper back, you have to have a very orchestrated or sequenced rhythmic motion, right? So if my arms start to get, like wild, right? You can see like I can start to, if I swing it back and get like really flat with the shoulder plane, right, or kind of like lift out of it, like it'll wrap around, hit me in the face.
Yeah.
If I start using my arms and not my body, you see the rope starts to kind of go down and hit me like towards my hips, right? So like you see people that go like this and then or they're not used to having. I'd say that the two main things that you can really learn when you get somebody to swing a rope is how little energy they're putting into the backswing, because they'll go back like this and like the rope has no energy in it.
It won't go up, yeah.
Or they'll go like this and they gotta wait. Let's say like you gotta wait forever for it to hit them on the back.
Yeah.
Right? But if you get that thing body turning and getting into the energy into the backswing early, you can see the rope wants to wrap up really quickly.
So I used the rope. So go ahead and set up there. I used the rope yesterday with a student because I was trying to get him to understand this push and this trigger into the left, and he couldn't really understand it. So I threw the rope in his hands, and I was like, from the static position, just try to take the rope up to the top, right? And he can't, right? Yeah. It just doesn't work.
Right.
And then I was like, so now swing it, push into your left, swing it forward, and allow it to wrap a little bit, and like light bulb goes off, right?
Yeah, you have to really get the body moving early and actively in order to get this thing to start your swing really well, right? Like, I mean, generally we're always going like this. So when I'm doing this, I'm kind of moving my body to the left. I'm pointed over here this way so that I can kind of really get the body moving and to initiate the motion, right? So you feel like much more of a motion there to get it to go. Because if I just start it back with my arms, right, it's just not going to work.
It's like we're teaching a very like active motion, right? Like we're not. I hate starting from like stagnant. I think that's why I built like this, like I like pushed down, right? I wasn't pushing in the right direction basically my whole career, but I had like something moving for me, right?